Hi everyone, I'm Aisha. In this video, I'll be talking about expectations and the effect it has on mental health. Firstly, I'll start with its definition. The meaning I'll be focusing on is a belief that someone will or should achieve something. There are two types of expectations, the reasonable ones and the unreasonable ones. Reasonable expectations are ones that don't burden the person you are expecting things from and are typically small things such as relaying a message for others, keeping promises, or being polite. On the other hand, unreasonable expectations can pressure or bother others greatly, mainly by making them do something reluctantly. This often, if not always, leads to one of the two parties being unhappy. Some examples of unreasonable expectations are wanting someone to be or act a certain way, making life goals for others, or having high expectations for them. High expectations are bound to lead to disappointments. Disappointment is sadness or displeasure caused by the non-fulfillment of one's hopes or expectations. This wouldn't necessarily happen if one considers how they would feel if they were expected something big themselves. This is an important topic to me as I have had first-hand experience with this and have seen it happen to many others around me as well. I want to spread awareness for this issue so people will know how common and toxic this is. That is why it is important for the community as well. The problem concerning unreasonable expectations is not spoken about, but affects many people negatively around the world and can lead to mental illnesses such as stress and anxiety. The pressure of expectations can come from anyone, but are mostly from someone you look up to, like parents, teachers, coaches, or friends. It's because of the connection that you wouldn't want to disappoint them. It can also come from ideas emerging from society, culture, communities, or religion. This can even come from yourself for multiple reasons, like wanting to catch up or one-up someone like a sibling, classmate, or friend, or simply from a past goal you made but took too seriously. The problem occurs when a little bit of pressure that may have been meant to motivate someone becomes a burden they feel they have to go through with. People typically make expectations to motivate or encourage the ones they care for or those they have high hopes for. Some parents pressure their kids so they can achieve everything they wish they could. While they may have good intentions, it can overwhelm the child and backfire. Expectations from someone or something can take any shape or form. It can be anything from good grades, academic achievements, and earning a better salary, all the way to being or acting a particular way to maintain a certain image for your gender, culture, school, race, friends, religion, or community. Rigid expectations impact us negatively and is part of creating the toxic expectation. Taking the expectations too seriously and not willing to adjust causes our mental health to deteriorate. Toxic masculinity is an example of expectations having a negative effect on mental health. The stigma on men showing emotions is due to an expectation that our society has created towards it. Men can feel suppressed by this and feel the need to oblige, which leads to mental health issues. In a 2016 masculinity audit by Campaign Against Living Miserably, the most common pressures for men were revealed by Huffington Post UK. The results showed that men's stereotypes were on the top of the list, the top two being confidence and physical attractiveness, both with 26%. Because some men feel they can't show weakness and talk about their problems, the rate of suicide for men have been increasing throughout the years. Academic pressure is another extremely common one among young adults and teenagers. An article called Academic Pressures Undermining Kids' Mental Health on Treehugger by Katherine Martinko describes the major issue of expectations in academics. The part that really spoke to me was when a child's sense of self-worth is dependent on what they achieve, it can lead to anxiety and depression. Anxiety can come from worrying about keeping up with or outshining peers, while depression can be caused by a failure to achieve. Please check this article out because this is a very common problem, especially for high-achieving and academically pressured students. I will leave links to all the articles and stats I mentioned in the description box below, and if you want to learn more about any topic discussed, please check some of them out. Another insightful article on academic pressure is titled Abstract and is from the book Social Forces, Volume 98, Issue 3. It explains that exceptionally high education has been promoted lots throughout the government, parents, etc., and encouraged students to strive for them despite all the barriers there actually are in life. When reality hits and educational expectations aren't met, this could result in mental health problems. The feeling or fear of failure and being a disappointment is what triggers the mental illnesses. The consequences of all these toxic and unreasonable expectations usually result in multiple mental health disorders such as anxiety, depression, stress, and bipolar disorder. As I have mentioned in the start of this video, I have experienced this issue before, and I'm sure those viewing probably have too. My pressure came from my parents and were about academics. For the longest time, my parents used to always say I'd grow up to be a doctor and my brother would become an engineer. I hadn't even started kindergarten when they would say this. They had always told me I had to strive to achieve this goal so I could have a happy life. I'm sure everyone has heard something similar at least once before. It's very common for parents to tell their children to become doctors, engineers, businessmen, or lawyers. Some of us hear it more than we can count, and it mostly comes from low-income or immigrant parents. My parents were both, and I understand it was difficult to manage in a new country. Seeing that they only had enough money to provide for us and have minimal entertainment, they wanted us to study to have high-paying jobs so we could give ourselves and our future kids a better life. They weren't as strict at first, from kindergarten to the 3rd grade, but as soon as I got letter grades in grade 4, everything changed. I was motivated to be a doctor by my parents and my neighbor's daughter whom I looked up to. On top of that, my best friend also wanted to be a high achiever, so I too decided to strive to be my best. The first time I brought a midterm report card home, I got 1 A, multiple B's, and a couple C pluses. My parents were so proud of me. The next time, on the final report card, I got 2 A's and the rest B's. Fast forward to grades 5 through 7, I got all A's except a B in PE because although I did try my best, I couldn't seem to get an A in that class. My parents were then ecstatic. They believed that their dream would come true, and the wish for me to become a doctor seemed to become an obligation. In high school, I continued to exceed in my studies and would get straight A's except PE. At this point, my parents weren't excited at my report cards as they used to be. They wouldn't even check because now they expected straight A's and nothing less. I still tried my best and didn't slow down. I did even more. I volunteered constantly, joined multiple clubs, and got involved. At home, I had to do more chores, but I just sucked it up because who doesn't do chores at home? Then my parents wanted me to have extra classes to better understand my religion. After this, I started to feel overwhelmed. Homework became harder year by year and the amount grew as well. My mom wanted me to do more chores and I was struggling for time. I didn't want to drop anything because school courses were for a better future, my classes were to understand my religion better, chores were mandatory, and volunteering was something I loved to do. I tried to push on, but every day was another headache and I began to hate life. I didn't want to tell anyone and try to keep myself smiling because if I forced myself to be happy, hopefully things would turn around. The pressure just kept piling and piling onto me and it felt suffocating internally. I stressed about all my work and was always anxious at home. I would break down time to time, but I didn't want to let it get to me. One day, I finally snapped. I broke in front of my mom. I was sobbing and screaming and I couldn't hold it in. I said I didn't want to learn anymore and I had no life of my own. I cried all the tears I could and heaved my breaths. My mom was shocked at first, but then softened. She embraced me and told me that if it was too much, I didn't have to force myself. Once I let everything out, I felt much lighter. I eased my tight grasp on everything and decided to try starting over. This time, I did things for myself. When I had decided I didn't have to do all of this, everything seemed to fall in place. It was strange because I was still doing everything I was before, but it seemed much easier now. I realized that others' expectations pressured me into feeling obligated to doing everything, and that was what had caused me to stress over every small detail. Once I had decided that I'd do everything at my own pace and that if I didn't achieve my goals it would be fine, I felt the burden lift. My dream is still to become a family physician, but this time I'm doing it out of my own will. Because this is such an overlooked issue, there is no official stat or search done on this topic as a whole. Still, there are multiple people who have shared their experiences on websites or to the media. I have found 2 stories online that I felt I could kind of relate to. Although my case was not as severe as theirs, the feeling of being pressured and needing to escape was mutual. I will give a general description, and the links are in the description box if you'd like to read them. One of these shared experiences is on the National Alliance on Mental Illnesses, titled Balancing Expectations with Mental Health, and is written by Michelle Yang, who talks about how the pressure and the feeling of things not going according to plan caused her to face multiple mental health problems. The other story is on NPR and is titled For Kids, Anxiety About School is Like Being Chased by a Lion, written by Kavitha Cardoza. It talks about a boy named Jared who used to be a straight A perfectionist student, but after missing classes because of a simple appendectomy, all the missed work pressured him and he was diagnosed with severe anxiety. In this case, Jared had feared completing all the work he missed, and because he used to be an A student, he may have felt pressured by feeling he was expected to keep his grades up, whether that was actually the case or not. There are multiple ways to solve this issue and escape from this pressure. Number 1. Be more unscheduled. Usually when the pressure gets to you, it's because you don't have much time to relax and take a breather. The second point is tied to this fact and is to adjust or drop the expectations that wear you down. If there is something that is eating away at you, fix it. Change your goals for some more wiggle room, and if that doesn't seem to work, just drop it. Don't feel as though you have to carry everyone's expectations through. When things get too hard to hold on to, just let it go. And in the future, if you ever want to pick it up again, you can. But if it's harming you at the moment, drop it. Number 3. Be flexible. This is really similar to the previous point. Don't make your goals something you have to go through with or else you're a failure. Have backup plans and be able to adjust from time to time. Number 4. Allow error to occur. Mistakes happen to everyone, and the best way to learn from them are by experiencing it. Just because you may have failed at something once doesn't mean you can't try again. Try to take deep breaths and don't let failure bring you down. 5. Talk it out with others, especially those involved. What I mean by this is if you feel that you are expected of something big by someone and it makes you feel stressed, talk to them. Whether it is your coach, parent, friend, teacher, boss, or whoever, tell them how you feel about it and work it out together. Number 6. Use coping methods to unwind and de-stress. Do what calms you down. There are multiple things you can try, like yoga, talking with friends, going for walks, journaling, drawing, painting, taking a bubble bath, laying on your bed, listening to music, taking deep breaths, watching a movie, reading a book, and of course, telling someone about your problem for help. And number 7, be who you are and who you want to be. Do what you want despite what anyone thinks of you. If someone wants you to be a police officer, but you want to be a painter, then be a painter. Remember that you are in control of your own life. Don't let others pressure you into doing things they want you to. Of course, you should listen to what they say, but whether or not to go through with it is your choice. There are many ways others can help those who are struggling too. Firstly, spot the issue. Some signs people should look for are sudden breakdowns, being upset more often, overworked, no free time, and constant exhaustion. Things families can do to help is to support the child and make it easy for them to approach you. If you see some of the signs, try to talk to them about their problem and see what they say. If it's about school, try to speak to their teachers or the principal alone in their place if needed. Try to also lessen the workload at home when they are stressed and provide help with their work if you can. There are many things schools can do to help as well. First off, try not to give any excessive homework and provide students plenty of time to complete it in class. This will allow students to ask for help easier when stuck on a question and lessen the workload. Especially in high school when you have 4 different classes with separate teachers, homework can sometimes take the whole day to complete, leaving no free time at all. Second, teachers must understand that there's a lot that goes on in a child's home too, and everyone has different circumstances. Some students even have extra classes outside of school to attend to, and all the work leaves them with no time to rest. Third, all teachers should ask students time to time how they are feeling about the class while trying to maintain confidentiality. Every teacher needs to do this because sometimes it is one specific teacher who gives too much work and they never ask for feedback, so no one ever tells them. This can be done in several ways. There could be a box where you make everyone anonymously slip a piece of paper in which they draw one of 3 faces on how they feel in class with a note on what they need to improve, what they want to be clarified, or what they like about the class. This method could be done digitally as well, through an anonymous survey with comments if preferred. Another way it can be done is through a heads down, thumbs up method, where everyone puts their heads down after every lesson and raises a thumbs up if they understand, a sideways thumb if they need a bit more clarification, or thumbs down for one-on-one help. The last way schools and teachers could help is by having one spare block about once a month for students to catch up on missed work, ask for extra help, study, or do extra practice. On this day, the teacher could go around to every individual student and ask if they need any help. One way everyone can help is by making reasonable expectations. To do this, when you are making them, whomever it's for, think, would I expect this of my child, parents, family, friends, myself, whoever, to go through this? Yes, everyone has different circumstances, but think about the average. This should help put you in others' shoes if it was for them, and help you see if you were being hard on yourself if it was for you. Going back to the example where many parents pressure their kids into being in high professions, would they want their own parents to do that to them? Or do they themselves believe they can achieve the goal they push onto their kids? Probably not. Then why do they pressure their own kids? Some people have goals they are dead set on as well and push their own limits. They should ask, would I expect this of my loved ones? Of course, there are exceptions, but for the most part, keeping this question in mind is essential for creating more reasonable expectations. To summarize, not all expectations are bad, but unreasonable ones can do a lot of damage to one's mental health. The best thing you can do is talk it out with the person that expects things from you. I know many people suffer from this kind of pressure, as I have, and hope to spread awareness about this unspoken topic so the future generations don't have to go through all this unnecessary stress. The main thing we can all do is to spread the word, ask for help, and reach out to those who we see are struggling with this problem. Please share this video to family and friends if you found it helpful so we can raise awareness together. Thank you for watching and have a great day.